The camera finds her on the kitchen floor at 4:47 a.m., not moving. Rachel's breathing comes in short, desperate pulls. Her right arm is stretched toward the refrigerator, fingers still curled around a half-eaten sandwich that fell when she went down. The motion sensor light above the sink has long since gone dark. She's been here for 6 hours. Her daughter Michelle appears in the doorway, still in her sleeping clothes, and stops. The look on her face isn't shock. It's something far worse. Recognition. She's seen this before. "Mum?" Rachel's eyes are open, but they're looking at nothing, or everything, or the slow, suffocating math of a body that can no longer hold itself. Michelle doesn't rush forward. She stands in the doorway, phone already in her hand, thumb hovering over 3 numbers she promised herself she'd never have to dial again. "Mom, can you hear me?" Rachel's mouth moves. No sound comes out at first. Then, barely audible, "I just wanted something to eat." The sandwich is still in her hand. Michelle's thumb presses down. The screen cuts to black. A title card appears in stark white text. 4 months earlier. Rachel Pemberton wakes at 6:15 a.m. to the sound of her daughter moving through the house. The bedroom is dark, curtains drawn against the early light. She doesn't open her eyes yet. First comes the assessment, the mental inventory she runs every morning before attempting movement. Back pain, 7 out of 10. Manageable. Breathing. Slightly labored but normal for her. Swelling in her legs, probably the same as yesterday. She opens her eyes. The ceiling fan turns slowly overhead. The same hypnotic rotation she's watched for 3 years, ever since the stairs became impossible. This room, once a formal dining room, is now her entire world. Hospital bed, oversized dresser, a chair where Michelle leaves folded laundry, a television mounted on the wall that runs 16 hours a day. Rachel shifts her weight, testing. The bed frame groans beneath her. 647 pounds, according to the last time Michelle could convince her to check. That was 4 months ago. Rachel suspects the number has grown since then, but suspecting and knowing are different countries, and she prefers to stay where she is. "Mom, you awake?" Michelle's voice carries from the kitchen. 26 years old, still living at home, still taking care of the woman who used to take care of her. "I'm up," Rachel calls back, though she hasn't moved yet. The morning routine begins the way it always does. Michelle appears in the doorway with a breakfast tray, scrambled eggs, toast, orange juice, and 2 small containers of yogurt. She sets it on the bed table without comment. No judgment in her face. Not anymore. That wore off years ago, replaced by something that looks like tired acceptance. "I have a shift until 3, Michelle says. "Need anything before I go?" "I'm fine, baby." Michelle nods. She's heard this answer 1,000 times. She leaves. Rachel eats slowly, watching the morning news. A weather report. A traffic accident on the interstate. A politician saying something that doesn't matter to people who can't leave their bedrooms. She finishes the eggs and toast. The yogurt containers remain sealed. She'll save those for later, for the afternoon stretch when Michelle is gone and the house gets too quiet. By 9 a.m., she needs the bathroom. This is the part of the day that requires planning. Rachel shifts to the edge of the bed, testing her balance. The walker stands 3 feet away, right where Michelle left it. 3 feet might as well be 3 miles. She plants her feet on the floor, feeling the pressure in her knees, the way her ankles protest under the weight they were never designed to carry. She stands. The room tilts slightly. She grabs the bed frame, steadies herself, waits for the dizziness to pass. It does. It always does. Rachel has become an expert at knowing which warning signs to ignore and which ones mean danger. She reaches the walker, grips the handles, begins the slow journey across 12 feet of hardwood floor to the bathroom door. Halfway there, something changes. The pressure in her chest isn't new. She's felt it before, that tightness that comes with exertion. But this time, it doesn't ease. It builds. Her left arm begins to tingle, not painfully, just wrong. Rachel stops walking. "It's nothing," she whispers to the empty room. "Just tired." She takes another step. The tingling spreads to her jaw. The pressure in her chest becomes a grip, like someone's hand closing around her heart, squeezing. Rachel's knees buckle. She goes down hard, the walker clattering away across the floor. Her shoulder hits first, then her hip, the impact reverberating through 600 pounds of mass meeting solid wood. She rolls onto her back, gasping, staring up at the ceiling fan that won't stop turning. The pain in her chest is screaming now. Her phone is on the nightstand, 10 feet away, impossible distance. "Michelle," she tries to call out, but Michelle left for work 20 minutes ago. The house is empty except for Rachel and the sound of her own breathing, rapid and shallow. This is it, she thinks. This is how it happens. Not in a hospital, not surrounded by doctors and machines. On the floor of a converted dining room, alone, because she needed to use the bathroom. The irony would be funny if she could breathe well enough to laugh. Minutes pass. Maybe 10, maybe 30. Time loses meaning when every second is measured in the space between heartbeats. The pain in her chest begins to ease, not gone but receding to something she can survive. The tingling fades from her arm. Rachel lies on the floor staring at the ceiling and does the calculation she's been avoiding for years. She can't get up, not without help, not at this weight, not from this position, not with her joints and her heart and her body that has become a prison she built one meal at a time. Her phone buzzes on the nightstand. She can't reach it, can't answer it, can't do anything but lie here and wait. When Michelle comes home at 3:47 p.m., she finds her mother exactly where she fell, still conscious, still breathing, still staring at the ceiling fan. Michelle doesn't say anything at first. She just stands in the doorway, looking at the scene she knew would come eventually, the moment she's been dreading since the day her father left, and she became the only person standing between her mother and gravity. "Call 911, Rachel says quietly. Michelle already has her phone out. The ambulance crew needs 45 minutes to get Rachel off the floor and onto a reinforced gurney. She watches their faces while they work, professional, efficient, but she catches the glances they exchange when they think she's not looking. She's seen those looks before. Pity mixed with something else. Calculation, maybe. The mental math of how much effort this will take. At the hospital, they run tests, EKG, blood work, chest x-rays that require a specialized machine because the standard equipment can't penetrate enough tissue to reach her heart. Then a cardiologist comes in, reviews the results and delivers the news with clinical detachment. Not a heart attack, not yet. But her heart is working 3 times harder than it should be, every minute of every day, just to keep her alive. "You got lucky this time," he says, and leaves. Lucky. Rachel turns the word over in her mind while she waits for discharge papers. She doesn't feel lucky. She feels like someone who jumped off a building and landed on a ledge halfway down. Still falling, just slower. Michelle sits in the corner chair, scrolling through her phone, not looking up. The silence between them has weight. It's been growing for months, this distance, each crisis adding another layer until words feel pointless. A nurse enters with a clipboard and a business card. "The cardiologist wants you to follow up with a bariatric specialist," she says, handing the card to Michelle, not Rachel. "Dr. Harrison, he runs a surgical weight loss program. Given your mother's situation, they're recommending immediate consultation." Rachel takes the card from Michelle's hand. Dr. James Harrison, MD, fax. Bariatric and metabolic surgery, an address across town. "I don't need surgery," Rachel says. The nurse's expression doesn't change. She's heard this before too. The appointment's already scheduled for next week, Wednesday at 10 a.m. The medical building is new, all glass and steel, the kind of place that feels sterile even from the parking lot. Michelle drives. Rachel sits in the passenger seat of the car they had to special order 3 years ago, the one with reinforced suspension and no center console. She watches the city pass by through the window. People walking, running, living lives that don't require engineering solutions just to sit down. The waiting room has oversized chairs. Rachel notices this immediately. They're expecting people like her. The realization brings neither comfort nor shame, just a dull acknowledgement of reality. A medical assistant calls her name. The scale in the hallway isn't like the ones in regular doctor's offices. It's industrial, built into the floor, designed for livestock or cargo. Rachel steps on. The digital readout climbs and settles. £653. 6 more than she thought. The number hangs in the air like an accusation. Michelle writes it down on the intake form without comment. Dr. Harrison's office overlooks the parking lot. He's younger than Rachel expected, maybe 50, grey at the temples, wire-rimmed glasses. He doesn't smile when they enter, doesn't offer false warmth or cushioning small talk. He sits behind his desk and opens a manila folder containing her hospital records. "Mrs. Pemberton," he begins, looking up. "Tell me why you're here." The question catches her off guard. "The hospital sent me." "That's why you showed up. I'm asking why you're here, in this situation." Rachel shifts in the reinforced chair. "I had an episode. I fell." "You collapsed because your heart couldn't sustain basic physical activity," Dr. Harrison corrects. His voice is level, neither cruel nor kind, just factual. "At £653, your body is in crisis. Every system is failing or approaching failure. Your heart, your liver, your kidneys, they're all working overtime and they're losing. Do you understand what I'm telling you?" "I've been heavy my whole life," Rachel says. "I know it's not healthy, but—" "Mrs. Pemberton." He removes his glasses, meets her eyes directly. "You don't have a weight problem, you have a dying problem. At your current trajectory, you have 18 to 24 months, maybe less." The words land like physical blows. Michelle goes rigid in the adjacent chair. "That's not—" Rachel starts. "Your most recent labs show pre-diabetic markers, elevated liver enzymes, and your heart is enlarged by 40%. You're retaining fluid. Your lungs can't fully expand. You stopped menstruating years ago because your body decided reproduction is a luxury it can't afford while it's trying to keep you breathing." He slides a paper across the desk. "This is your blood pressure. This is what it should be. Do you see the difference?" Rachel looks at the numbers. She doesn't really understand them, but she understands his face. There's no performance here. No bedside manner designed to make her feel better. Just data and consequences. "I can help you, Doctor," Harrison continues, "but only if you're willing to be honest about what got you here, not what you tell yourself, not the version that makes it easier to sleep at night. The truth." "I eat too much," Rachel says quietly. "That's a symptom. What's the cause?" Rachel doesn't answer. Can't answer. The real reasons live in places she stopped looking at years ago. Dr. Harrison leans back in his chair. "Here's what happens next. You're going to keep a food diary for 30 days, everything you eat. Everything. No editing, no forgetting. You're going to come back here for a weigh-in. If you've lost weight, we'll talk about surgical options. If you haven't—" He pauses. "Then we'll have a different conversation about hospice care and end-of-life planning." Michelle makes a small sound, something between a gasp and a sob. "I'm not trying to scare you," Dr. Harrison says. "I'm trying to save your life. But I can't do that unless you want it saved." He stands, signaling the appointment is over. Rachel doesn't move immediately. She sits in the reinforced chair, holding a food diary she hasn't started and a prognosis she can't accept. 18 to 24 months. The number follows her out of the office, into the elevator, across the parking lot. It sits between her and Michelle during the silent drive home. It's still there when she lies down in her hospital bed that used to be a dining room, staring at the ceiling fan that won't stop turning. 18 to 24 months, unless she changes everything. The food diary sits on Rachel's nightstand for 3 days before she opens it. It's a simple composition notebook, black and white marbled cover, the kind kids use for school. Dr. Harrison's instructions echo in her head. Everything you eat. Everything. No editing. She picks up the pen Michelle left beside it and stares at the blank first page. "Day 1, she writes, then stops. "What did she eat yesterday?" "Breakfast. Michelle brought eggs and toast. That part is easy. Lunch was a sandwich. She remembers that. But the afternoon is hazier. The evening blurs. There were snacks, she knows. Things from the mini-fridge Michelle keeps stocked beside the bed. But how many? What kind?" Rachel realizes with uncomfortable clarity that she doesn't actually track what goes into her mouth anymore. Eating has become autonomous, like breathing, background noise to the television, to the loneliness, to the hours that stretch between Michelle leaving for work and Michelle coming home. She writes what she remembers, estimates portions, leaves blank spaces where her memory fails. It takes 15 minutes. When she's done, the page looks reasonable, manageable. The eating pattern of someone who's heavy, sure, but not someone who weighs 653 pounds. The math doesn't add up, and she knows it. On day 4, Michelle comes home early from work. Rachel hears her in the kitchen, hears cabinet doors opening and closing with increasing force, hears something that sounds like crying, or maybe fury. With Michelle, they've started to sound the same. "Mom?" Michelle appears in the doorway holding a grocery bag. "We need to talk." She dumps the contents on the bed. Candy bar wrappers, empty chip bags, cookie packages, a crumpled fast food bag with grease stains, 2 empty ice cream containers. The evidence lands like an indictment. "I found these in your bathroom trash," Michelle says. Her voice is shaking. "All from the last 2 days. None of this is in your diary." Rachel stares at the wrappers. She remembers eating some of it. Some of it she doesn't remember at all. "Michelle, no." Michelle cuts her off. "I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not pretending that you're trying when you're hiding food in the bathroom like a—" She stops herself, but the word hangs there anyway. "Addict." "I am trying," Rachel says, and hears how weak it sounds. "Where did this even come from?" Michelle picks up a candy bar wrapper. "I didn't buy this. I control the groceries. So where—" Understanding crosses her face. "The delivery apps. You've been ordering food while I'm at work." Rachel doesn't confirm or deny. She doesn't need to. Michelle sits down hard in the chair, defeated. "We can't afford this. Do you know that? I'm working double shifts to pay for your medical bills, for the reinforced bed, for the special scale, for everything you need. And you're spending money we don't have on food you hide from me." "I didn't ask you to stay," Rachel says quietly. The words come out wrong, defensive, sharp. She means something else, something about gratitude and guilt and the impossible weight of being someone's entire burden. But that's not what Michelle hears. "You're right," Michelle says after a long silence. "You didn't ask. But I'm still here. And I can't watch you kill yourself anymore." She leaves the room. Rachel hears her bedroom door close down the hall, hears the lock click. The wrappers remain on the bed, a monument to everything Rachel has been pretending isn't true. So soon down to that night, Rachel starts writing the real diary. 2:00 p.m., 2 granola bars from the drawer. 3:15 p.m., chips, the whole bag. 4:30 p.m., ordered pizza. 8 half before Michelle got home, hid the box. 7 p.m., ice cream after Michelle went to bed, 2 bowls, maybe 3. 11 p.m., couldn't sleep. Crackers and peanut butter, lost count, the list grows. She writes through the night, going back over the previous days, reconstructing from credit card charges and delivery receipts and the evidence hidden in trash cans throughout the house. Places Michelle doesn't look, because checking on your mother's garbage feels like a betrayal of whatever dignity remains. By dawn, Rachel has filled 8 pages. The numbers are staggering. 5,000 calories some days, 7,000 others. One day, she remembers it now with horrible clarity, she hit 9,000. An entire day's worth of food for 3 people, consumed by one body that couldn't possibly need that much fuel. Except it wasn't about need. It was never about hunger. Rachel sits with the diary open, watching the sunrise through the gap in the curtains. She tries to remember the last time she was actually hungry, genuinely empty, the way hunger is supposed to feel. It's been years, maybe a decade. She eats past full, past uncomfortable, past pain, chasing something that has nothing to do with food. When Michelle emerges at 7 a.m. getting ready for work, Rachel calls out to her, "Wait." Michelle appears in the doorway, guarded. Rachel holds up the diary. "I rewrote it. The real numbers. Everything I actually ate." She takes a breath. "You were right. I've been lying. To you. To Dr. Harrison. To myself." Michelle doesn't move closer, but something in her face softens slightly. "Why?" "Because if I write it down, then it's real. If it's real, then I have to do something about it. And doing something about it means—" Rachel trails off. Means admitting she's broken. Means acknowledging that she doesn't know how to fix this. Means accepting that the thing she uses to cope with life is the thing that's killing her. Michelle picks up one of the candy bar wrappers still on the bed from last night. When I was little, you used to make me write down my spelling words 5 times each. You said repetition makes things stick. She looks at her mother. Maybe it works for unlearning things too. Maybe, Rachel says. Michelle checks her watch. I have to go to work, but tonight we're going through this house and finding every hiding place, every stash, everything, and we're starting over. Okay. I mean it, Mom. No more secrets. No more secrets, Rachel repeats. After Michelle leaves, Rachel looks down at the diary. 8 pages of truth she can't take back. She thinks about Dr. Harrison's words, 18 to 24 months. The sun continues rising. The ceiling fan continues turning. Rachel picks up the pen and writes, Day 5. The night before her 1-month follow-up appointment, Rachel can't sleep. She lies in the hospital bed, staring at shadows on the ceiling, running calculations that don't quite work. 30 days of writing everything down. 30 days of Michelle cleaning out the hiding places. The mini-fridge unplugged. The delivery apps deleted from her phone. The cash she kept in the nightstand drawer for food orders confiscated like contraband. 30 days of trying. It has to be enough. The scale will prove it. Numbers don't lie. Except Rachel knows they do. Numbers lie all the time when you're the one interpreting them. She's been avoiding the scale at home, telling herself it's because she wants to be surprised at Dr. Harrison's office. But the truth sits heavier. She's afraid of what it might say before she gets there. At 3 a.m. she gets up, the slow, careful process of shifting weight, finding balance, gripping the walker. She makes it to the bathroom without incident. Small victory. A month ago, this same journey put her on the floor. In the mirror, she studies her reflection. Has her face changed? She thinks maybe it has. Something around the jawline, perhaps. Or maybe that's wishful thinking. The mind creating evidence where none exists. She gets back into bed and watches infomercials until dawn breaks. Michelle drives in silence. The appointment is at 10 a.m. They leave at 9:15 for a 20-minute trip. Because getting Rachel from car to building requires time, requires rest stops, requires dignity she doesn't quite have anymore, but pretends to maintain. In the waiting room, Rachel recognizes another patient from last month, a woman who might weigh 400 pounds. The woman has lost weight. It's visible in her face, her arms, the way she sits in a normal chair instead of the reinforced ones. She's reading a magazine, relaxed, like doctor's appointments are no longer interrogations. Rachel wonders what that feels like. Rachel Pemberton? The medical assistant is the same one from last time. Professional smile, clipboard ready. Rachel follows her to the hallway scale, Michelle trailing behind. Go ahead and step up, the assistant says. Rachel grips the walker, positions herself on the platform. The digital numbers flash, calculating, 651 pounds. Rachel stares at the readout, reads it again. The number doesn't change, 2 pounds. 30 days of food diaries and deleted apps, and Michelle's disappointed silences, and nights spent hungry, actually hungry for the first time in years. And the scale moved 2 pounds. That's good, the medical assistant says, writing it down. Any loss is progress. Rachel doesn't respond. She steps off the scale like she's stepping off a ledge. Dr. Harrison reviews her chart in silence. The food diary sits between them on his desk. 30 days of entries, some detailed, some sparse, all of them variations on the same theme, trying and failing, succeeding and sabotaging, the endless cycle of someone who knows what they should do but can't quite make themselves do it. 2 pounds, he finally says. I know. Do you? He looks up. Because 2 pounds in 30 days means you're eating roughly the same amount you were before, maybe slightly less, but nowhere near the deficit required for meaningful change. I wrote everything down, Rachel says, just like you told me. I'm sure you did. He flips through the diary. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks accounted for. It all looks very reasonable. He closes the notebook. So let me ask you something. If you're eating what's in this diary and only what's in this diary, where are the other 4,000 calories coming from? The question hangs in the air. I don't... Mrs. Pemberton, your body doesn't break the laws of thermodynamics. To maintain 650 pounds requires massive caloric intake. To lose only 2 pounds means you're still consuming that intake. Either you're lying in the diary, or you're lying to yourself about what constitutes a meal. He leans forward. Which is it? Michelle shifts uncomfortably in her chair. Rachel feels something crack inside her chest. Not her heart this time. Something else. Both, she whispers. Both, Dr. Harrison repeats. Can you elaborate? I write down meals, but I don't write down the other stuff, the bites between meals, the tastes while I'm thinking, She stops, searching for words. It's like there are two people, the one who's trying and the one who's not. They're both you, Dr. Harrison says quietly. I know. He sits back in his chair, removes his glasses, cleans them with his tie. The gesture feels rehearsed, like he's done this conversation 100 times with 100 different people, who all thought they were unique in their failure. Here's the situation, he says, replacing his glasses. Bariatric surgery is a tool, not a miracle. It works for people who are willing to change their relationship with food. But if you can't manage portion control now, if you can't be honest about your intake now, surgery won't fix that. It'll just make you a lighter person with the same broken coping mechanisms. So you won't do the surgery? Rachel's voice is flat. I didn't say that. I said we're not ready. You're not ready. He slides a pamphlet across the desk. This is a medically supervised program. Liquid diet, 1,200 calories a day, monitored by our staff. You come in twice a week for weigh-ins and counseling. If you can stay on protocol for 60 days and lose 40 pounds, we'll revisit surgical options. Rachel picks up the pamphlet, rows of supplement bottles, before and after photos, testimonials from people who found success where she's found only failure. And if I can't? She asks. Dr. Harrison's expression doesn't change. Then we have the conversation I mentioned last time, about hospice, about comfort care, about making your remaining time as peaceful as possible. Michelle makes a sound, small, choked. How long do I have to decide? Rachel asks. You don't. Dr. Harrison closes her file. You're out of time, Mrs. Pemberton. You were out of time when you walked through my door a month ago. Every day you delay is a day your body continues failing. Your heart doesn't care about your feelings or your readiness or your excuses. It just knows it can't do this much longer. He stands, extending his hand. Rachel shakes it. His grip is firm, clinical, the handshake of a man who saves some patients and loses others and has learned not to take either personally. The program coordinator will give you the starter kit on your way out, he says. First weigh-in is Monday at 8 a.m. Don't be late. In the car, Michelle doesn't start the engine immediately. She sits with her hands on the steering wheel, staring straight ahead. Are you going to do it? She finally asks. Rachel looks down at the pamphlet in her lap. 1,200 calories, liquid supplements, twice weekly weigh-ins. 60 days of hunger and discipline and proving she deserves to keep living. I don't know if I can, she admits. Michelle starts the car. Then I need to know that too, because I can't keep waiting to find you on the floor. They drive home in silence, the pamphlet sitting between them like a verdict neither of them is ready to read. The liquid diet starter kit sits unopened on Rachel's dresser for 4 days. She looks at it every morning. 3 boxes of meal replacement shakes, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. A mixing bottle, portion guides, instructions printed in cheerful fonts that promise results if she just follows the plan. All she has to do is open the box, mix the powder, drink it instead of eating. Simple, impossible. On day 5, Michelle confronts her before leaving for work. You haven't started yet. I will, Rachel says. When? Soon. Michelle's jaw tightens. Dr. Harrison said Monday. That's 3 days from now. You're supposed to be on the protocol already, so your body adjusts before the weigh-in. I know what he said. Then why? Michelle stops herself, presses her fingers against her temples. Never mind. I can't do this right now. I have a double shift. I'll be home late. She leaves without saying goodbye. Rachel spends the morning watching television, a talk show about people with problems that seem solvable, a judge ruling on disputes that have clean answers. Everything in the world outside this room has structure, resolution, a before and after. By noon, the hunger starts. Real hunger. She's been eating less since the appointment, trying to prepare herself for the liquid diet without actually committing to it. Reduction without protocol, effort without accountability. At 1 p.m. she opens the nightstand drawer where Michelle keeps her prepared meals. A sandwich, cut into quarters, an apple, string cheese. 1,200 calories already portioned, already decided. Rachel eats the sandwich, saves the apple and cheese for later. By 3 p.m. the hunger returns. Not physical, she's eaten enough, but the other kind. The hunger that has nothing to do with empty stomachs and everything to do with empty hours. The kind she's been feeding for 20 years. She picks up her phone. The delivery apps are still deleted, but she knows the numbers by heart. 1 call, 1 pizza. Michelle won't be home until after midnight. There's time to eat it, dispose of the evidence, maintain the fiction that she's trying. Her finger hovers over the screen. She thinks about Dr. Harrison's face, the way he cleaned his glasses before delivering his verdict. The word hospice spoken in the same tone as surgery. 2 options, 2 futures, both equally possible depending on what she does next. Rachel puts the phone down. She makes it until 5 p.m. The pizza arrives at 5:47. Large extra cheese stuffed crust. The delivery driver hands it through the front door. Rachel gave him the code to the lockbox where she leaves cash, a system she developed months ago, back when Michelle still believed the food she bought was the only food being eaten. Rachel carries the box to her bed. The smell alone is enough to trigger something primal. She opens the lid. 1 slice, she tells herself. Just 1 to take the edge off. Then she'll throw the rest away, proof of control. Evidence that she can stop. She eats the first slice standing up, leaning against the dresser, then sits on the bed for the second. The third goes down while she's scrolling through her phone, barely tasting it. The fourth disappears during a commercial break. By the 6th slice, she's not hungry anymore. She's not anything anymore. Not sad, not anxious, not lonely, just full, just numb. The feeling she's been chasing since Michelle left this morning, maybe since her husband left 3 years ago, maybe since she was a child, and food was the one thing that didn't require her to be anything other than what she was. She finishes the pizza. All of it. The box sits empty on her lap, grease stains on her fingers, the taste of cheese and regret in her mouth. Rachel looks at the clock. 7:23 p.m. Michelle won't be home for hours. Time to clean up. Time to hide the evidence. Time to pretend tonight never happened. She stands, or tries to. Her legs don't cooperate. The fullness in her stomach has become pressure, pain, something beyond discomfort. She grips the bed frame, tries again. The room tilts. Rachel's vision blurs at the edges. She sits back down hard, breathing in short gasps. Her heart is racing. The pressure in her chest, familiar now, terrifying in its familiarity, begins to build. Not again, she thinks. Please, not again. But her body isn't asking permission. It's shutting down, system by system, overwhelmed by the impossible task of processing what she's done to it. Rachel slides off the bed onto her knees, trying to reach the phone on the nightstand. Her hand knocks it to the floor instead. It skitters under the dresser, out of reach. She tries to call out, but there's no one to hear. The kitchen is 20 feet away. She begins crawling. Her knees scream against the hardwood. Her arms shake with effort. The walker is somewhere behind her, useless. She makes it 5 feet before her strength gives out. Rachel collapses on the kitchen floor just inside the doorway. The refrigerator hums 3 feet away. The motion sensor light clicks on above her, detecting movement, trying to be helpful. She can't get up, can't reach her phone, can't do anything but lie here and breathe and wait. The ceiling blurs. Tears, or exhaustion, or the body's final protest against everything she's asked it to endure. Time moves strangely. Minutes feel like hours. Hours might be minutes. Rachel drifts in and out of consciousness, or maybe just in and out of caring whether she's conscious. The hardwood is cold against her cheek. The refrigerator keeps humming its one-note song. She thinks about Michelle finding her again, thinks about the look on her daughter's face last time. Not surprise, but resignation. The expression of someone who's been waiting for the inevitable. She thinks about Dr. Harrison's handshake, firm, clinical. The grip of someone who's seen this before. She thinks about the liquid diet kit sitting unopened on her dresser. 3 boxes, 3 flavors, so simple, so impossible. The motion sensor light clicks off, deciding she's been still long enough to not count as movement anymore. Rachel lies in the dark and waits for Dawn, or for Michelle, or for whatever comes next, when you've run out of time and second chances and ways to pretend everything is fine. Her right hand is still stretched toward the refrigerator. Old habits die hard, or they don't die at all. They just wait in the kitchen, patient and persistent, ready for the next moment of weakness. The refrigerator hums. Rachel closes her eyes. The darkness is almost peaceful. Michelle finds her at 6:14 a.m. The double shift ended early. A co-worker covered the last 2 hours. Michelle came home exhausted, ready to collapse into bed, and instead found her mother on the kitchen floor for the second time in 2 months. She doesn't call 911 immediately. She stands in the doorway, still in her work clothes, and looks at the scene with the detachment of someone who's reached a limit they didn't know existed. "How long have you been here?" Michelle asks. Rachel's voice is hoarse. "Since last night." "Did you call for help?" "Couldn't reach my phone." Michelle notices the empty pizza box on the bed through the open doorway, notices the grease stains on her mother's shirt, notices everything she's been trying not to see for years, all at once, with terrible clarity. "I'm done," Michelle says quietly. The words land differently than anger. There's no heat in them, just finality. "Michelle?" "No. Listen to me." Michelle steps into the kitchen but doesn't move closer. "I've spent 3 years taking care of you. 3 years watching you eat yourself to death while I work double shifts to pay for the bed and the walker and the medical bills. 3 years lying to myself that if I just try harder, if I just love you enough, you'll want to live." Rachel tries to sit up. Can't. Stays on the floor. "I can't do this anymore," Michelle continues. "I can't keep finding you like this. I can't keep pretending that you're trying when you're ordering pizza the second I leave. I can't—" Her voice cracks. "I can't watch my mother die slowly and pretend I don't see it happening." "I'm sorry," Rachel whispers. "I know you are. You're always sorry. But sorry doesn't change anything." Michelle pulls out her phone. "I'm calling 911. They're going to take you to the hospital, and when they discharge you, I won't be here." The words hit harder than the fall did. "What?" "I'm moving out. Today. I already found a place. I've been looking for 2 weeks since your last appointment. I kept hoping you'd start the program, that you'd prove me wrong, but—" She gestures at the scene. "This is your choice. The pizza, the floor, all of it. You chose this over getting better. You chose this over me." "That's not fair," Rachel says. "No," Michelle agrees. "It's not. None of this is fair. It's not fair that Dad left. It's not fair that you're sick. It's not fair that I had to become your parent before I finished being your kid." She dials 911. "But I can't save you if you won't save yourself, and I can't drown trying." The hospital keeps Rachel for observation. Dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, mild kidney stress. Nothing acute, everything chronic. The slow-motion crisis of a body operating past its design limits. Dr. Harrison appears in her room on the second day. She didn't call him. Someone at the hospital must have. He pulls up a chair, sits without speaking for a long moment. When he finally talks, his voice carries a weariness she hasn't heard before. "I've been doing this for 23 years, he says. "I've performed over 4,000 bariatric surgeries, saved lives, lost some too, and the ones I lose, they're not usually the ones who die on the table. They're the ones who refuse to get on it." Rachel stares at the IV in her arm. "I'm going to tell you something I don't usually tell patients," Dr. Harrison continues. "The surgery has a 97% success rate for qualified candidates. 97%. Those are extraordinary odds, but there's a 3% failure rate, and most of those failures aren't medical. They're psychological. People who go through surgery but never change what made them need it in the first place." "I know I need to change," Rachel says. "Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, you know you're supposed to change. You know everyone wants you to change. But knowing and wanting are different things." He leans forward. "Here's what I need to know. Do you want to live?" The question should be simple. The answer should be obvious. But Rachel finds herself hesitating, searching for truth in places she's been avoiding. "I don't want to die," she finally says. "That's not what I asked." The distinction cuts through everything. Not wanting to die and wanting to live. The space between them is an ocean. "I don't know how to want things anymore," Rachel admits. "Food is the only thing that feels real. Everything else is just noise." Dr. Harrison nods slowly, like this is the answer he expected. "That's honest. I can work with honest." He stands, moves to the window. "Here's what happens next. You have one chance. Not because I'm being cruel, because medically you're out of runway. Your body can't sustain another failed attempt." He turns to face her. "I'm admitting you to our inpatient program. 2 weeks. You'll stay in our facility, medically supervised on the liquid protocol. No choices. No access to outside food. No delivery apps. Just the program." His expression is unreadable. "If you complete it and lose weight, we proceed to surgery. If you don't, I discharge you with palliative care recommendations." "Michelle said she's leaving," Rachel says. "I know. She called me yesterday." He moves toward the door. "She asked me if I thought there was any hope. I told her I don't deal in hope, I deal in outcomes. And outcomes depend on what you do next." "What did she say?" "She said she loves you, and that's why she has to go." He pauses at the door. "The program starts Monday. You have until tomorrow to decide if you're coming. After that, the bed goes to someone else." "And if I say no?" Dr. Harrison's expression softens just slightly. "Then you've already decided how this ends. And I'll respect that decision. But I want you to understand what you're choosing. You're not just choosing to skip a program, you're choosing death over discomfort, permanent over temporary, the end over the beginning." He leaves. Rachel sits alone in the hospital bed, IV drip counting steady measures into her arm. Through the window, she can see the parking lot, people coming and going, living lives that don't require negotiations with fate. Her phone buzzes. A text from Michelle. "Movers coming tomorrow. I'll pack your things too and leave them in your room. I'm sorry, I love you. But I have to save myself." Rachel reads it 3 times. She thinks about the kitchen floor, the pizza box, the refrigerator humming in the darkness. 20 years of choosing comfort over change, fullness over feeling, numbness over everything else. She thinks about Dr. Harrison's question. Do you want to live? The answer isn't simple. It isn't obvious. It isn't a clean yes or no, but something more complicated, buried under layers of hurt and habit and surrender. But maybe, Rachel thinks, maybe wanting to find out if you want to live is close enough. She picks up her phone and dials the number on Dr. Harrison's card. He answers on the second ring. "I'll do it," Rachel says. "The program. I'll come Monday." There's a pause. Then, "I'll have the intake coordinator call you with details. Don't eat anything except clear liquids between now and then. Your body needs to prepare." "Okay." "Mrs. Pemberton?" His voice changes slightly. "This is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done." "I know." "Good. I'll see you Monday." He hangs up. Rachel sets the phone down and stares at the ceiling tiles. 2 days until Monday. 2 days to say goodbye to everything she's used to survive, even if survival has become its own kind of dying. Outside her window, the sun sets. Inside, Rachel waits for whatever comes next, terrified and certain in equal measure. The inpatient facility doesn't look like a hospital. No sterile hallways or fluorescent lights. Just a renovated house on the edge of the medical campus, 6 bedrooms converted into patient quarters. A common area with comfortable chairs and a kitchen where no one is allowed to cook. Rachel arrives Monday morning with 1 suitcase. Michelle didn't come. A medical transport service brought her from the hospital. 2 attendants helping her navigate the front steps. Only 4, but they might as well be 40. Her room is small, twin bed, nightstand, a chair by the window, no television, no mini-fridge, nothing to distract from the only task that matters. A nurse named Patricia does the intake. Weight check, 649 pounds, down 4 from the hospital stay. Vital signs, medical history review. Then the orientation that sounds less like welcome and more like terms of surrender. No outside food, no visitors without approval, no phones during meal times, which aren't really meals anymore, just scheduled supplement times. You'll meet with Dr. Harrison every 3 days, counseling twice a week, group sessions daily. Patricia hands her a schedule. The first 72 hours are the hardest. Your body is going to fight you. Headaches, fatigue, irritability. That's normal. It passes. And if I can't do it? Rachel asks. Patricia's expression is kind but firm. Then you leave. No judgment, but you don't get to come back. Day 1 is deceptive. The chocolate shake at 8 a.m. isn't terrible. 12 ounces, thick and sweet, artificial but tolerable. Rachel drinks it in her room, surprised that hunger doesn't immediately follow. The vanilla shake at noon is harder. Her body knows it's been tricked. This isn't food. This is a promise of food that never delivers satisfaction. By the 4 p.m. strawberry shake, Rachel understands what she's signed up for. This isn't a diet. It's a siege. Her body versus her willpower. Decades of habit versus 2 weeks of protocol. That night, she dreams about pizza. Not eating it, just looking at it. The box sits on a table in an empty room, and she walks toward it but never gets closer, like running in place. She wakes at 2 a.m. sweating, the taste of cheese in her mouth that isn't real. The nightstand has a call button. One press and a nurse would come. She could leave, walk out, go back to the world where food exists and choices are hers to make. Rachel stares at the button for 20 minutes. Doesn't press it. Day 3 is when her body declares war. The headache starts behind her eyes and spreads like fire. Her hands shake. Her stomach cramps despite being full of liquid. She sits through the morning group session. 8 other patients, all fighting their own versions of this battle, and barely hears a word. A woman named Denise shares that she's on day 9. It gets easier, she says. Not easy, but easier. Rachel wants to believe her, wants to trust that the suffering is finite, that there's an end point where she'll emerge victorious. But sitting in that circle, listening to stories of addiction and trauma and food used as medication for pain that goes deeper than hunger, Rachel realizes something that terrifies her. She doesn't know who she is without food to hide behind. The counselor, a woman named Dr. Reeves, asks Rachel to share. Rachel shakes her head. Not today. Maybe not ever. After the session, Dr. Reeves pulls her aside. You don't have to talk in group, but you do have to talk. The liquid diet handles your body. Counseling handles the rest. Otherwise, you're just a lighter person with the same problems. I don't know what to say, Rachel admits. Start with why you're here. Because I'm dying. No, Dr. Reeves says gently. That's the consequence. I'm asking about the cause. What are you feeding when you eat? Rachel has no answer, not one she's willing to say out loud. Day 7. The headaches have mostly passed. The shakes taste like routine now. Chocolate at 8, vanilla at noon, strawberry at 4, chocolate again at 8 p.m. 1,200 calories, 4 times a day. Nothing else. Rachel steps on the scale during her check-in with Dr. Harrison. 634 pounds, 15 pounds in 7 days. She stares at the number. 15 pounds. More than she lost in the entire month before. More than she thought possible in a week. Your body is adjusting, Doctor. Harrison says, reviewing her chart. The initial drop is mostly water weight and inflammation reduction, but it proves something important. What? That you can do this. When the environment supports the decision, when the choice is removed, you're capable. He looks up. The question is what happens when you leave here and the choices come back. Rachel knows what he's really asking. Will she choose herself, or will she choose the comfort she's relied on for 20 years? I don't know, she says honestly. Then we keep working until you do. I'm day 14, halfway through the program. Rachel sits in her room after the evening shake, looking out the window at the parking lot. Cars come and go. People living normal lives where food is fuel, not religion. There's a knock at her door. Patricia enters with a phone. You have a call. Your daughter. Rachel hasn't spoken to Michelle since before she was admitted. Takes the phone with shaking hands. Mom? Michelle's voice sounds different, distant, or maybe just unencumbered by the weight of being someone's only lifeline. Hi, baby. Patricia called me. She said you're doing well, that you've lost weight. 23 pounds. Silence on the other end. Then, That's good, Mom. That's really good. Are you okay? Rachel asks. I'm sleeping through the night for the first time in years, Michelle says quietly. I didn't realize how much stress I was carrying until it was gone. A pause. Does that make me a terrible person? No. It makes you honest. More silence. The kind that's heavy with things neither of them knows how to say. I'm proud of you, Michelle finally says, for trying, really trying this time. I miss you. I miss you too. But I can't come back to how things were. You understand that, right? Rachel closes her eyes. I understand. If you finish the program, if you get the surgery and keep going, maybe we can figure out what comes next. But I can't be your reason. You have to have your own. I'm working on that, Rachel says. Okay. Michelle's voice softens. I have to go. But call me when you get out. Let me know how you're doing. I will. The line goes dead. Rachel hands the phone back to Patricia and sits in the chair by the window. £23, 7 more days, then surgery. Then the real work begins. Outside, the sun sets over the parking lot. Inside, Rachel finally lets herself cry, not from sadness, but from something she hasn't felt in years. Relief. The kind that comes when you stop pretending and start fighting, when you realize that wanting to live and knowing how to live are different lessons, and you've only just begun learning the second one. Day 15 starts tomorrow. Rachel will be ready. Rachel completes the 2-week program weighing 612 pounds, 41 pounds lost, enough to qualify, enough to prove, at least to Dr. Harrison's metrics, that she can follow protocol when external structure demands it. The surgery is scheduled for Thursday, 3 days after her discharge from the inpatient facility. Those 3 days test everything she learned in 2 weeks of forced compliance. Back in her house, Michelle's house technically, though Michelle isn't living there anymore, surrounded by the same rooms where she built her prison 1 meal at a time, the kitchen feels different, smaller maybe, or she's seeing it differently now. The refrigerator still hums, but it no longer sounds like an invitation, just a machine doing its job. Rachel spends Tuesday packing a bag for the hospital. She's allowed clear liquids only, broth, sugar-free gelatin, water. Her stomach growls in protest, but she's learned to distinguish between hunger and craving. One is biological, the other is memory. Wednesday night she can't sleep. Pre-op instructions prohibit anything after midnight. Nothing by mouth, not even water. The surgery is scheduled for 7 a.m. At 2 a.m. Rachel gets up and walks through the house. No walker this time, just her and 41 fewer pounds and the strange sensation of movement that doesn't require planning and recovery time. She stands in the kitchen doorway, the same spot where Michelle found her on the floor 6 weeks ago. She tries to remember what she was thinking that night, what made ordering the pizza feel necessary, inevitable. The memory is there, but the logic that supported it has started to crumble. Dr. Reeves asked her in their final counseling session, "What are you feeding when you eat?" Rachel didn't answer then, but standing in the dark kitchen at 2 a.m., the night before someone will surgically alter her body to prevent the very thing she's spent 20 years doing, she finally understands. Loneliness, fear, the feeling of being fundamentally unlovable that started when her father left when she was 8, that calcified when her husband walked out 3 years ago, that she confirmed every day by slowly destroying the one body she'd ever have. Food wasn't comfort. It was punishment, disguised as comfort. Rachel sits at the kitchen table until dawn breaks, holding this truth like something fragile that might shatter if she grips too hard. The hospital prep area is cold and sterile. Rachel changes into a surgical gown that barely closes, lies on a gurney that groans under her weight, even after 41 pounds of loss. A nurse places an IV. An anesthesiologist introduces himself, explains the process. Doctor. Harrison appears in scrubs, his expression as calm and clinical as ever. How are you feeling? He asks. Terrified, Rachel admits. Good. Fear means you understand what's at stake. He reviews her chart. The procedure takes about 2 hours. I'll be creating a small pouch from your stomach about the size of an egg and rerouting your small intestine. After this, you physically won't be able to eat large portions. But the surgery doesn't change your mind. That work continues after you wake up. I know. Do you? He sets down the chart. Because I need you to understand something. This surgery is a tool, a powerful one. But I've seen people defeat it, drinking their calories, eating constantly in small amounts, finding ways around the restriction. The tool only works if you work with it. I'll work with it, Rachel says. Dr. Harrison studies her face for a long moment. I believe you. Today. But belief is easy on a surgical table. It's harder at 2 a.m. when you're alone and the old patterns come calling. He places a hand on her shoulder. Remember why you're here. Not to make your daughter happy. Not to satisfy me, for you. Because you decided living matters more than hiding. Rachel nods, not trusting her voice. A voice over the intercom announces they're ready in OR3. Last chance to back out, Dr. Harrison says. It's not a joke. He means it. Rachel thinks about the kitchen floor. About Michelle's voice saying I have to save myself. About 2 weeks of chocolate shakes and headaches and learning that hunger doesn't kill you. Fear of hunger does. I'm ready, she says. The OR is blindingly bright. Stainless steel and machines and people in blue moving with choreographed precision. They transfer Rachel from the gurney to the operating table, a specialized one, reinforced, designed for patients like her. The anesthesiologist appears above her with a mask. We're going to give you something to help you relax. Count backward from 10. Rachel starts counting. 10, 9, 8. The room begins to blur at the edges. 7, 6. She thinks about Michelle, wonders if her daughter is thinking about her right now, wonders if they'll get a chance to rebuild what was broken, or if some damages are permanent. 5, 4. She thinks about Dr. Reeves's question. What are you feeding? 3. Nothing anymore, she thinks. After today, feeding the emptiness won't be physically possible. She'll have to find another way to live with it. 2. The last thought she has before consciousness slips away is unexpected. Not fear, not hope. Just a simple observation that feels profound in its ordinariness. I want to see what happens next. 1. Rachel wakes in recovery to the sound of machines beeping steady rhythms. Her throat is raw from intubation. Her abdomen feels like someone carved it open, which she realizes groggily is exactly what happened. A nurse checks her vitals. Surgery went well. Dr. Harrison will be by soon to check on you. Rachel tries to speak. Her mouth is too dry. The nurse offers ice chips. Rachel takes one, lets it melt on her tongue. The cold is sharp and real and somehow significant. The first thing she's consumed as a person with a new stomach. The ice chip melts. She takes another. This is what it means to eat now. Small amounts. Conscious choices. Every bite a decision instead of a reflex. Dr. Harrison appears an hour later, still in surgical scrubs. The procedure went exactly as planned. No complications. Your stomach is now about 30 milliliters, roughly 2 tablespoons. You'll follow a staged diet starting with liquids, progressing to pureed foods, then soft solids over the next few months. How long until I can eat normally? Rachel asks. You'll never eat normally again, Dr. Harrison says bluntly. Normal is what got you to 650 pounds. Normal almost killed you. We're building a new normal, and that takes time. He pulls up a chair, sits at her bedside, a gesture she hasn't seen from him before. The hard part starts now, he continues. The surgery bought you a chance, but chances expire if you don't use them. You'll have good days and bad days. Days when the restriction feels like freedom, and days when it feels like a cage. What matters is what you do on the bad days. Rachel nods, too exhausted to speak. Your first follow-up is in 1 week, Dr. Harrison says, standing. Until then, rest. Let your body heal. And start thinking about who you want to be when you can't hide behind food anymore. He leaves. Rachel lies in the hospital bed, feeling the weight of sutures and staples holding together a stomach that's been permanently altered. Outside her window, the city continues its evening rhythm. People eating dinner. Living lives where food is simple, uncomplicated. She closes her eyes and sleeps, dreamless for the first time in weeks. When she wakes, the sun is rising. Day 1 of her new life has begun. 3 months post-surgery, Rachel weighs 518 pounds. 135 pounds gone. Numbers that should feel like victory but somehow don't land the way she expected. She can walk without the walker now, can shower standing up, can fit into chairs that used to be too small. The world has opened incrementally, one lost pound at a time. But something else has closed. Rachel sits in Dr. Harrison's office for her 12-week follow-up, staring at the weight chart that shows a steady downward slope. The numbers don't lie. Her body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. "Your progress is excellent," Dr. Harrison says, reviewing her labs. "Blood pressure is down. Liver enzymes are normalizing. You're tolerating solid foods well. By every medical metric, you're a success story." He closes the folder and looks at her directly. "So why do you look miserable?" Rachel doesn't answer immediately. How does she explain that losing weight has somehow made everything harder? That the smaller her body gets, the larger her problems feel? "I'm hungry all the time," she finally says. "Not for food, for something. I don't know what." Dr. Harrison nods slowly. "The surgery fixed your stomach. It didn't fix why you needed the surgery." "I know that. You told me that, but I thought—" Rachel stops, searching for words. "I thought if I lost the weight I'd feel different. Better. Like a new person. And instead, I feel like the same person in a smaller body, and now I don't have food to make that okay." The admission hangs between them. Dr. Harrison removes his glasses. That familiar gesture she's learned means he's about to say something she won't want to hear. "Mrs. Pemberton, you spent 20 years using food as medication. For loneliness, anxiety, depression, trauma, whatever you were treating, food was the prescription. Now that prescription is gone, the underlying conditions remain." He leans forward. "You're not hungry for something. You're feeling something you used to eat away. And now you have to actually feel it." Rachel's throat tightens. "I don't know how." "I know. That's why you're still in therapy twice a week. That's why this isn't over just because the scale is moving." He slides a paper across the desk. "Dr. Reeves sent me her notes from your last session. You've missed 2 appointments in the past month." Rachel looks away. "I've been busy. Busy avoiding the work that matters." His voice isn't angry, just factual. "The surgery was the easy part, Mrs. Pemberton. What comes next? Learning to live in your own skin without anesthesia. That's the real surgery. And you can't skip it." And that night, Rachel stands in her kitchen at 9 p.m., staring into the refrigerator. Not because she's hungry. Her stomach, what's left of it, is full from the protein shake she had an hour ago. But the urge to eat is still there, humming beneath her thoughts like white noise. She closes the refrigerator, opens a cabinet instead, closes it, opens another one. The pattern is familiar. This is what she did before, the endless searching for something to fill the space inside her that has nothing to do with appetite. Her phone rings. Michelle. They've been talking more since the surgery. Careful conversations, both of them navigating new territory. Michelle still lives across town in her own apartment, still maintains boundaries Rachel is learning to respect. "Hey, Mom, just checking in." "I'm fine," Rachel says automatically. "You don't sound fine." Rachel sits at the kitchen table. "I'm standing in the kitchen wanting to eat when I'm not hungry. I'm 3 months post-op. I've lost 135 pounds, and I still want to eat my feelings." Silence on the other end. "Then, what are you feeling?" The question stops Rachel cold. What is she feeling? She's been so focused on not eating that she hasn't actually examined what's underneath. "Scared," she admits quietly. "I'm scared that I'm going to fail, that I'll figure out how to eat around the surgery, that I'll gain it all back, that I'm always going to be the person who can't control herself." "Are those your thoughts or Dad's?" Rachel's breath catches. She hasn't thought about her ex-husband in months. But Michelle is right. His voice is there, echoing in her head. "You have no self-control, you're weak, you'll never change." "I don't know anymore," Rachel whispers. "Mum, listen to me." Michelle's voice is firm. "You've lost 135 pounds. You got through surgery. You're doing the work even when it's hard. That's not weakness, that's not failure. You need to stop measuring yourself against some impossible standard and start seeing what you've actually done. It doesn't feel like enough. It never will if you keep waiting to feel like a different person. You are who you are. just lighter, and maybe that's okay. After they hang up, Rachel sits in the quiet kitchen for a long time. The refrigerator hums. The clock on the wall ticks steady seconds. Everything is the same and everything is different. She thinks about Dr. Harrison's words. You're feeling something you used to eat away. What is she feeling right now, in this moment? Lonely. Afraid. Uncertain about the future. Angry at herself for not being fixed yet. Sad about all the years she lost. Grateful that she's still here to lose them. All of it. Everything at once. A mess of emotions that used to get compressed into one simple action. Eat. Rachel picks up her phone and texts Dr. Reeves. I need an appointment. Tomorrow, if possible. The response comes quickly. 10 a.m. work for you? Yes. Rachel sets down her phone and looks around the kitchen one more time. The food is still here. The urges are still here. But tonight she's not going to feed them. Tonight she's going to sit with them, feel them, let them exist without trying to destroy them or let them destroy her. It's not comfortable. It's not easy. But it's honest. And maybe, Rachel thinks, honest is where change actually begins. At her next weigh-in 2 weeks later, Rachel has lost another 8 pounds, 510. Dr. Harrison notes it in her chart. How are you managing the hunger, he asks. I'm learning to tell the difference, Rachel says, between physical hunger and the other kind. And? The other kind is worse, but at least now I'm not pretending it doesn't exist. Dr. Harrison almost smiles. Almost. That's progress, Mrs. Pemberton. Real progress. Rachel leaves the appointment feeling something she hasn't felt in months. Not happiness exactly, not satisfaction, but something close to acceptance. She's 510 pounds, still obese by any medical definition, still carrying weight that threatens her health, still fighting battles most people will never understand. But she's fighting, not surrendering, not hiding, not medicating herself into oblivion one meal at a time. She's fighting, and some days, that has to be enough. Rachel stands in Dr. Harrison's office for what he's called her graduation evaluation, 6 months post-surgery, the moment that determines whether she continues in the program or transitions to standard follow-up care. The scale reads 472 pounds, 181 pounds lost since surgery, 225 pounds total since that first appointment, when Dr. Harrison told her she had 18 to 24 months to live. That was 10 months ago. She's still here. Dr. Harrison reviews her chart in silence, the way he always does. Rachel has learned not to rush him, not to fill the quiet with nervous chatter. She waits. Your weight loss is on track, he finally says. Blood pressure is normal. Liver function is good. Heart is operating at expected capacity for your current weight. He looks up. Medically, you're doing everything right. Rachel hears the unspoken word hanging at the end of that sentence. But? No but. Medically, you're a success. He sets down the chart. The question I have is different. Can you sustain this? I've sustained it for 6 months. You've sustained it with weekly weigh-ins, mandatory therapy, and the structure of this program. What happens when that structure disappears? When you're managing this alone? The question Rachel has been avoiding for weeks. The program has been her container, her external accountability. Without it, she'll be responsible for herself in ways she's never successfully managed before. I don't know, she admits. But I know I'm not the same person who walked in here 10 months ago. Aren't you? Dr. Harrison's voice is gentle but challenging. Tell me what's different, besides the number on the scale. Rachel considers this. What is different? I called Michelle last week, she says slowly. Asked if she wanted to have lunch, actual lunch at a restaurant. First time in 4 years I've eaten in public. How did it go? Terrifying. I ordered grilled chicken and vegetables, ate maybe a quarter of it. Spent the whole meal worried people were watching me, judging me. Rachel pauses. But I did it. And Michelle, she looked proud, not relieved or worried or tired, just proud. That's significant, Dr. Harrison says. I'm also angry, Rachel continues, the words coming faster now. Angry at myself for all the years I wasted. Angry at my ex-husband for the things he said that I believed. Angry that I let food become more important than my daughter. The anger is... She searches for the word. It's uncomfortable. But Dr. Reeves says it's healthy, that I'm finally feeling things instead of eating them. Dr. Harrison nods. What else? I'm scared. Every single day. Scared I'll wake up and the old patterns will be back. Scared that I've lost weight before and gained it back and this time won't be different. Scared that... Her voice catches. That I don't know how to be a person who doesn't hide. And yet you're still here, Dr. Harrison observes. I'm still here. He stands, moves to the window overlooking the parking lot. The same view Rachel stared at from her hospital bed 6 months ago, the night before surgery. I'm going to tell you something I reserve for patients who make it this far, he says, still looking out the window. Most people who come through my program don't fail because of hunger. They fail because they're waiting to feel fixed. They think there's a finish line where suddenly everything makes sense and being healthy feels natural. He turns to face her. There is no finish line, Mrs. Pemberton. There's just tomorrow and the day after, and the choice you make every single time about who you want to be. That sounds exhausting, Rachel says. It is. But so is dying slowly. You get to pick your exhaustion. He returns to his desk, pulls out a form. I'm graduating you from intensive monitoring. You'll continue therapy with Dr. Reeves, monthly weigh-ins for the next year, then quarterly after that. But the daily management, that's yours now. Rachel takes the form, sees her name at the top. Program completion, successful outcome. What if I fail? She asks quietly. Then you come back. The door doesn't close just because you graduate. But, he meets her eyes, I don't think you're going to fail. Not because the surgery prevents it. Because you've done something most people never do. What's that? You've stopped lying to yourself about why you eat. That's the real surgery. Everything else is just mechanical. Rachel drives home in the car she hasn't needed to modify, fits behind a steering wheel that used to press against her stomach. The world looks different at 472 pounds. Not easy, not simple, but possible in ways it wasn't before. Her phone buzzes at a stoplight. A text from Michelle. How did the appointment go? Rachel types back. Graduated. Dr. Harrison says I'm officially on my own now. 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. Then, want to come over for dinner tonight? I'll make something you can actually eat. Rachel stares at the invitation. Dinner at Michelle's apartment. Normal. The kind of thing normal mothers and daughters do. I'd like that, she types. 6 p.m. and Mom, I'm really proud of you. Rachel sets down the phone before the light changes. She blinks back tears that aren't quite sadness and aren't quite joy. Just the complicated emotion of someone who lost everything and is slowly, painfully building something new from the wreckage. That evening, Rachel stands outside Michelle's apartment building, holding a bottle of sugar-free sparkling cider she picked up on the way. She can climb the stairs to the 2nd floor now, slowly, with rest breaks, but she can do it. Michelle opens the door wearing an apron, her hair pulled back, looking more like an adult than Rachel has ever seen her. The apartment is small but warm, lived in. The home of someone who's learning to take care of herself instead of someone else. Come in, Michelle says. Rachel enters. The table is set for 2, grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, a small salad. Portions Rachel can actually eat. They sit down together. For a moment, neither speaks. Then Michelle raises her glass of cider. To new beginnings, she says. Rachel raises hers. To showing up. They toast. They eat. They talk about small things. Michelle's job, the weather, a movie Michelle wants to see. Normal conversation, the kind that doesn't require crisis or intervention or emergency services. After dinner, Michelle walks Rachel to the door. Will you come back? Michelle asks. For dinner again? If you'll have me. Every week, if you want. We can figure out the new normal together. Michelle hesitates. I missed you, Mum. The real you. Not the person who was drowning, just you. Rachel pulls her daughter into a hug. Michelle's arms wrap around her, and Rachel realizes with startling clarity that there's space between them now. Physical space, where there used to be only mass, but also emotional space. Room for both of them to be whole people instead of caretaker and patient. I missed me too, Rachel whispers. Say sono market driving home. Rachel passes the pizza place that used to deliver to her house. The one with her order saved in the system. She doesn't stop, doesn't even slow down. At home, she walks through the kitchen, still the same kitchen where she collapsed twice, where Michelle found her, where everything almost ended. But the room doesn't own her anymore. Rachel opens her food journal. Day 304 post-surgery, she writes. Dinner with Michelle, salmon and vegetables. Ate slowly, stopped when full. Felt grateful. She pauses, pen hovering over paper. Then adds one more line. Chose today. Will choose again tomorrow. Rachel closes the journal and places it on the nightstand. Not the hospital bed anymore, but a regular bed she moved into the bedroom upstairs last month. Small victories, incremental changes, a life reconstructed one choice at a time. Outside, the city settles into night. Inside, Rachel lies down and closes her eyes, no longer afraid of what tomorrow will bring. Because tomorrow will come whether she's afraid or not. And she'll be there to meet it, still fighting, still choosing, still here. The scale will say 472 pounds for a few more weeks. Then it will say something else. Lower if she keeps choosing, higher if she doesn't. But the number isn't the story anymore. The story is that Rachel Pemberton is alive. And she's decided that matters. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more real-life journeys of struggle, choices, and transformation. So you don't miss the next episodes and follow each step of these powerful life stories. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.